Emily A. Stone, anthropologist in Baker. Emily Stone received her PhD in anthropology from the University of Utah in 2015. She moved into a friend's spare bedroom in Alta Vista 2 weeks after defending her dissertation. Bexar Kolaches was born during COVID lockdown, a result of wanting to replicate the massive economic development in her hometown of Dallas, with the goal of breathing life to one of San Antonio's historic buildings by filling a cultural gap in our food scene. Folks, Emily A. Stone.
So tonight I'm going to tell you a professional story with personal consequences. If I were more artful, I'd weave it into a novel, but I'm not, so I'm just going to tell you what happened. 11 years ago, I made a sacrifice for my career that broke me. I'm sharing this not because I enjoy making private experiences very public, but because the best possible benefit is for someone listening to feel less alone. Soldiers and airmen at Joint Base San Antonio make bigger sacrifices. This is what helped me heal. My goal was not half as noble as our active duty neighbors. I just wanted a career as a research professor. This might as well be making it to the NBA, albeit with a slightly smaller salary. There are as many PhDs and as few jobs as there are basketball players vying for a slot in the Spurs. People think of science as a dry career, but it's actually a creative profession. The goal is to develop theory, which is an explanation for the way the world works. Unlike in art, you're beholden to data, but what the data mean and devising tests of your ideas, that's creative. Before you can innovate, you must first master the technique in science that's publishing journal articles. I was lucky to have an ambitious young professor for my master's degree in South Florida. He taught me how to publish, and I loved academic writing. It became my favorite part of the job, as did visiting Miami Beach in the Art Deco building. I switched to anthropology from psychology for my PhD for the dumb reason that I wanted to live in Salt Lake City more than Detroit. It took a long time to master the field because, did I mention, I'd never taken a class in anthropology before starting a PhD in it. But my ideas were more creative than before because I had two fields to draw from. The next two slides are sponsored by the Utah tourism industry, just kidding. This picture is just a brag on Texas state parks because this is a Utah state park. The next photo is from a hike my sister-in-law took me on the day I found out an ex-boyfriend got engaged. Mill Creek Canyon here cheered me up. Anyway, it was hard transitioning from psychology, which seeks human universals, to anthropology, which celebrates human variation. I came to love our ingenuity, though, the way humans devised igloos to adapt to every climate on Earth, or the Yanomamo, who believe the sky we see is only the bottommost of 7 cosmic layers. The old saw to publisher perish in academia is true, but in anthropology, you also have to have a field site so you can teach undergrads about it. Because I'm both idealistic and stubborn, I established my own. I chose the best locale to answer my question and showed up one day on the outer islands of Yap in Micronesia. Research is tough here in the States, but try doing it alone in another language without the internet in a place where neither refrigeration nor toilets exist. How do you recruit an assistant when there is some invisible cultural rule causing this otherwise perfect candidate to turn down your job offer? I should note, I'm not super brave. They say you should take a risk if you're afraid, but you want the outcome, and don't take it if you're afraid and you don't want the outcome. I didn't want to leave home, but I wanted a shot at going pro more. Plus, we got to throw a party where we celebrated a year's worth of holidays in one night, 2 years before they did this on 30 Rock. Anyway, my 13 months in Yap were magical, but also traumatic. Sometimes hardship and beauty are flip sides of the same coin. There, people literally reap what they sow. It's not a metaphor, and it's awesome. Beer grows on trees and ferments in a single day. At night, organisms like those bioluminescent bugs light up the ocean. The trauma came from a period where I was ostracized by the person I depended on, a conflict of interest. I needed to see both the good and the bad, and she wanted to show me only the good. At one point, I thought this person had poisoned my beer, and when she hadn't, I realized, all right, as long as she's not actually killing me, I can do this. Things improved and I finished collecting data. I made it home in one piece, but I could no longer do my favorite part of the job, writing articles. One time I got defensive and angry in a lab meeting. I've been home for 2 years and my advisor was pressuring me to produce, which was super reasonable, 2 years, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But because I couldn't write these articles, there would be no job. I was not going to go pro. I'd made the sacrifice, but it broke me. I had this irrational desire for the universe to give me a job because I sacrificed, even though I know it's not how it works. Also, San Antonio, this is a real poster I made trying to motivate myself to finish. So how do you climb a mountain or write a dissertation knowing there's no job on the other side of it? 2 things helped me. First, core values. I'm a person who finishes what they start, I told myself. But really, I couldn't face my family or all those freaking student loans if I didn't get the degree. The second way you climb a mountain is to work through the pain. I put my butt in the chair and bawled while I wrote. I remember feeling so much shame at my inability to write that I wanted to disappear inside myself. I understood how people turn to alcohol. I willed myself to graduate, and each excruciating moment pays dividends today. It wasn't until this year, 11 years after returning from the field, that a life change forced me to heal this wound. I got laid off from my day job, and in order to make a clear-eyed career decision, I needed to answer 2 questions for myself. 1, why am I avoiding something I used to love? And 2, what does it all mean? It took feeling around in my subconscious to see that writing papers made me feel like sticking my neck out, because papers risk rejection from journals, and I realized I was afraid to make myself vulnerable again for my career. Understanding why I was broken fixed it. In the light of day, I could see that it wouldn't happen again. Second, I don't think tragedies happen for a reason. Awful things happen to good people all the time. This painful truth yields a depth of character that's not gotten any other way. There are no shortcuts to wisdom. I'm grateful for the invisible connection that binds me to everyone else with wounds, even if yours are different. And finally, if I'd become a professor, I wouldn't be standing on this stage tonight. Because I would never have yearned for the autonomy of academia, so much so that I opened a kolache bakery. Speaking of risks, retail is a big one, but I'm here for the ride, San Antonio. No regrets.
Good job.
Oh, thank you.
So in this regard, elucidate a little bit further on like how sticking your neck out with the kolache business is similar to sticking your neck out in academia.
That's a great question. It's such a public thing to do. I mean, these are recipes that you think are good, that people are coming in and evaluating every day. And they do it in the most public way, and that is Google reviews.
Oh, they're a killer. Oh, they're a killer.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things from the vibe on the inside to the way the food tastes that it is a very public risk. And then, of course, there's all the money and all that jazz. Yeah.
Yeah, also a killer. Also a killer.
Yeah.
Question I always usually ask in academia this as a person who has an English degree but didn't eventually go into graduate school, but always the thing I always wanted to do. Did you ever you just have the mortarboard? Do you have like not the whole 8-pointed professional tam, even though you are a doctor?
Wait, what?
Yeah, the 8-pointed hat.
Oh.
Because I've always wanted in that, like, you ever like in full regalia, just like go to HEB and go like, no, I got this damn hat. I'm wearing the 8-pointed hat. You ever just like, it's just a good hat?
Oh, that's awesome. No, well, what?
You're thinking about it now, though, ain't you?
We didn't have those hats, but we have the sweet coats with all the extra velvet on the side, and it just hangs in my closet, so.
You gotta find an occasion for that.
Yeah, I know, I do.
You gotta find an occasion
it's Halloween. It's Halloween.
It's Halloween. It's Halloween. It's like, yeah, like just say you're in Harry Potter or something like that, you know, without all the other implications, But
That's
still.
Good.
And as I'm asking everybody, what didn't make the cut?
Well, I told you all how I started a doctorate without having taken a single class in that field. But the fact is I started a kolache bakery, or I decided I was going to open one before I'd made a single kolache. So, anyway, thank you.
Well, bravo! That's sticking your neck out.